Hi, this is Bridget Covert with South Shore Arts. I'm the social media manager here, and today I am speaking with Anne Latinovich, who is currently having an exhibit in the Atrium Gallery at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts. This is a group of a body of work. It's a solo exhibit of hers called Efflorescence. So thanks for joining us today, Anne.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so we're super excited about your show. It's beautiful. It's like perfect timing with spring, starting to bloom and whatnot. So tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and we'll go from there.
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I've been making art for nearly 50 years. Feels like a really long time. And I think this exhibit really does come at a good time with spring and renewal. Uh, and I think it shows, it's a body of work that shows photography, painting, drawing, a variety of the medium that I use to create. I do have a history. You would ask me my history, I think, in the arts, and that would be that I have an undergraduate and master's degree in painting and drawing, and I had really started out focusing in those areas. But during childhood, I really did experience creating digitally. The first Macintosh came out in 1980, the first home computer, and I painted in Mac Paint. So working digitally in that way I think in 1984, maybe. Um, and then drawing, I jumped between my parents' homes. So at my mom's, I would have drawing materials, and then at my dad's, I had the computer. My mom also gave me my first camera. So I have been working in a variety of mediums for a really long time. And I think the exhibit is a cultivation of that.
Awesome. And when did this body of work start? Like, when did you start producing it, or kind of getting into what you were showing?
The work started when COVID hit. I had just opened, you and I were talking before we started recording about being a portrait artist, and I think being established in this area as a portrait artist. I had opened a studio in Winnetka, Illinois, months before the pandemic hit. And then when we were on home lockdown, I started, I had gone from photographing families and celebrating the beauty of family and the art of family to now being at home with my own family and feeling like, wow, I have this time with them. How can I celebrate that? And just looking at beauty here on the grounds in my home, pulling flowers from the backyard, started photographing them. And then that one thing led to another, from photographing flowers to how, or could these flowers, could this symbolize a dialogue, just as when I'm photographing people and trying to express emotion and to kind of capture the relationships within family, could I express that same complexity, that same emotion that I get from that work with this work? So that was how the series Silver Linings was born at the beginning of COVID, which led to the series Conversations. Both have works from those collections in the exhibit, which led to the Still Life work, which was combining my meditation practice with my art making, and then working with ducks through painting and drawing.
Very
So
cool.
really it was one collection led to the next. It was just like an evolution of work. And it's nice to see work from all four collections included in one space.
Mhm.
I guess personally, having experienced it kind of under the umbrella of being in lockdown and being home and being in this cocoon of sorts, to see it out in the world feels really good.
Oh yeah, and visioning your, being at home, just, kind of not the greatest time we were in. Um, what beautiful work that came out of it. It's just, stunning to see, and it's very pretty to see in our space too. So, and it does bring joy. I read your statement, and I think that they produce a lot of joy, and it's nice that you were able to make something pretty during such a, not so great time.
That
And
that means a lot to me. Thank you. I at the beginning of COVID, my kids have been photographed since the day they were born.
yeah.
They're when COVID began, they're at an age where they don't want to see my camera at this point. So going from photographing other families, it wasn't necessarily a question of now I should photograph mine because they've been photographed. I think having specialized, I mean, for 20 years, I've been doing portraits. So I think having specialized with creating beauty for families and hanging that on their wall, I really wanted to focus on what would bring me joy on my walls. If it's not a portrait of my kids, what is that going to be? And that really was the impetus for a lot of this work. So it means a lot to me to hear that people find it joyous and can derive that from it.
Well, I'm sure. Well, thank you so much, Anne, for joining us today. We have a number of fun events that you'll be participating in coming up. The first comes on this Saturday, April 22 at 2 p.m. with an artist talk. And then on Monday, April 24, we have an art in focus lecture and gallery tour. And then finally on Sunday, the artist reception will be on April 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. Come grab a glass of wine and hang out with us for a little bit. Anne will be at all of these events, and I'm sure would love to talk about her work. Thank you again so much for joining us, Anne.